Church here, and welcome to the Game Grinder. And today we're doing another pickup video, and this is kind of like another side off pickup video. This isn't the usual stuff, the games that I acquire over time. That's going to be saved for the next pickup video. This was kind of like a one-time special, found a really good deal sort of thing. So a little bit of backstory here. So we're going to be talking about some Xboxes. So I don't have much experience with the Xbox. In all honesty, the only time I ever played an Xbox was probably like 2003 or so. I played a little bit of Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, the original one, if that's when it was out, and a little bit of, I think, the original Halo. I can't remember, but maybe a cumulative time of 30 minutes. And since then, never played an Xbox. Haven't had a lot of interest necessarily, just hasn't been the system that has the games that I want to play. Nothing against it, of course. So it's become about that time, the systems are getting pretty cheap, the games are really cheap, so I figured, I'm going to try to do what I can to pick up an Xbox. So I was actually talking to a coworker originally, and he said, he's like, oh hey, I got an Xbox, has a red ring, can't do much with it. If I can't fix it, instead of throwing it away, if you want it to see if you could fix it, I'll give it to you. So I was like, yeah, sure, totally. So some time went by, maybe a month or two, and he came into work. He's like, here you go, got a present for you. And he gave me his Xbox 360 arcade. Unfortunately, like I said, I had the red ring, so I was hoping maybe I could possibly fix it, but unfortunately it's the, I think it's the AV chip that is, the solder issue. So basically you could try to take it apart, and you can use like heat gun or flux and like reflux the joint on it. But from everything I've read, called around some places that do these sorts of repairs, and they said it's just not worth it. Like you can pay for it, you can try it, it's not going to be a permanent fix. It's just a crappily made board. So shame on you, Microsoft, that is, for making such a cheap-ass console. But anyway, so I got an Xbox 360 arcade that doesn't work. I think I'll just hold on to it for whatever reasons. Eventually someday I'm sure I'll find another one. But yeah, so I was kind of bummed out about that. So I've been doing a little looking online, some of the Facebook groups that I'm part of, the buy-sell trade groups, and a friend had asked me if I knew about, there's another local Minnesota electronics Facebook page. And he's like, oh, I see game stuff going on here all the time. Are you part of this page? I'm like, no. So he added me to the page, and yeah, sure enough, there was some random people posting some game stuff here and there. Nothing too crazy. But the other day, I saw a post that a guy had a bunch of pictures, like 8 pictures, and basically it looked like a garage that was just full of games and full of consoles. And he's like, yep, trying to sell a bunch of stuff. He's like, marking it at 80% off of what you'd pay on eBay. Let me know what you're looking for. So I asked him if he had an Xbox 360, TurboGrafx, and a Wii U. He's like, yeah, I got Xboxes. He had a broken Wii U. Well, I'm not going to deal with that. And he said he had sold the Turbo. Actually, he was doing an eBay auction with the TurboGrafx. And I considered buying it off of him, but price was a little high for what I'm willing to pay. It was a little beat up, not too bad, but I had the back plastic piece, and it was also AV modded for component, so that was kind of neat. But yeah, so unfortunately, no TurboGrafx yet. But so I asked him, I was like, hey, so yeah, I'm interested in the Xboxes. Any chance I could, come to your place and kind of browse through your stuff? I'm willing to buy more if, I can see what you have. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So, yeah, he gave me a great deal on some Xboxes, let me dig around through his garage of things, or it was more of kind of like a shed, sort of deal, workshop, something. Anyways, but yeah, he had tons of stuff, tons of consoles, you name it, pretty much everything from Atari up to, he had one PS3, a few Xbox 360s, nothing newer than that. He had an Atari Jaguar that sounds like it burned out, something to do with power. It had a pretty nasty smell, but he had some Saturns, 64s, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesises, all sorts of things. So it was pretty cool. So it was super awesome that he let me dig around in his stuff for about an hour and a half. Not an hour and a half, total because we actually tested the systems to make sure we worked, and a little BS and talk about games and collecting and stuff here and there. But yeah, so I think I will jump into the pickups here, and yeah. So the first thing, of course, like I said, is I picked up an Xbox, OG Xbox. Pretty decent shape, works and everything. So that is pretty sweet. Like I said, he had lots of accessories, and I told him I was like really looking for accessories too. So of course included, power and AV hookups, regular Xbox controller. I also got a blue Xbox controller, and then I got I think people call it Duke or the hamburger Xbox controller. All of them have the breakaway cables, so that's cool. So now I have an Xbox, and picked up a few games to go with that as well. Also got one other accessory. I was like, why the hell not? I like weird accessories, even if I'm never going to use them. They're just kind of neat to have. I picked up a controller, like for media functionality, wireless receiver. So hey, there's that as well. So the games, I didn't have a whole lot of games, which Xbox games I know are like kind of a dime a dozen, pretty cheap, so I'm sure I'll easily be able to go to a pawn shop and find a lot of the kind of like staple exclusives. But I decided to pick up a few games while I was there because, good deal. And I will say, everything totally didn't work out to be 80% off of what he was offering, but he still gave a really good deal, so I am not complaining at all. But yeah, so some of the games, I picked up Dead or Alive 3 fighting game. Nothing, they're pretty cool games. I haven't played 3. I played like the first 2 quite a bit actually, like way back in the day when they first were released. I picked up Midway Arcade Treasures, which basically just has a bunch of Midway Atari games. Or no, it's actually not Atari games, it's 8-bit games, so like Nintendo games and stuff. I actually thought this was Atari games. Halo 2, not much of a Halo guy, not a big drive to play these games, but a lot of people really like them, so it has to say something about the game. So who knows, maybe eventually I'll get around to playing some Halo. Although I have the PC version of this, I picked up the Doom 3 Collector's Edition, or Special Edition, or Limited Collector's Edition. Ooh, didn't want to mess that one up. And basically it's just Doom 3 in a steel case, and I think, yeah, that's it. Nothing special. Nothing rare, like I see this all the time. I've just never picked it up just because I didn't have an Xbox. I also picked up Crash Twinsanity. Why not grab another Crash game? I got the PlayStation 1 games, and of course a bunch of people are like, oh, one of the first games you gotta get is you gotta pick up Fable. Of course I got Fable as well. And then for the heck of it, I like demo discs, and these are actually, I think, Xbox and Xbox 360 demo discs, but a couple like Xbox magazine demo discs. So that is, kind of neat, is what it is. Got a good little start to the Xbox. I actually don't know if I'll get around to playing any Xbox stuff for a while, just because, I got my backlog and, a lot of these games, but I am pretty interested to jump into the Gears of War series. Those are games I've always wanted to play. I played the original Gears of War. Fortunately, it was released for PC, so I was able to play that, and I kind of want to talk to one of my friends that we didn't play Gears of War together, but we were both playing it at the same time, and it'd be kind of cool if, get him over and, play some couch co-op for the other Gears of War games or something. But then, of course, I wouldn't drive out there just to get an Xbox, so I also picked up an Xbox 360 Slim, and again, pretty clean, tested, working and everything, so that is great. Of course, it came with the controller, or came with a controller, and came with the AV and power, so that is cool. He didn't have a lot of Xbox 360 accessories. I was tempted to grab a Kinect, but it was a little rough, and I don't know. Well, he wasn't asking much for it, but I was like, I'm getting a bunch of other stuff here that I really want, and I kind of trimmed down that price a little bit, so I was only able to pick up another Xbox 360 controller, and the only game that I got for Xbox was Gears of War, so there's that. And actually, I will mention that I was talking to Corpse Flood Gaming about my pickups. I was pretty excited. share it with some friends and stuff. And he actually sent me some codes so I can download the other Gears of War games. So that's pretty sweet. I'll pick them up physically eventually, but hey, at least I have access to them now, and got the opportunity to play them. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the Xbox Live. Like, I don't even have PlayStation Plus, and I've had, I'm a PlayStation guy like through and through. But yeah, so then I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to do a little cut here and pull out the rest of the stuff I got, and we can talk about that. Alright, and we're back, and like I said, I dug around through his assortment of things for quite a while, kind of picking and choosing some things I was interested in, some kind of random stuff. I wasn't on a mission for anything in particular, just, things I've been looking out for. If the price was right, it's hard to resist. So, yeah, I'll just kind of get to it here. So I think we will start with, well, I picked up some Atari games. It's pretty rare I actually buy Atari games anymore. The main ones that I have are the ones that I want, and I don't see a lot of games that I was looking for, but these ones, I've heard a couple things about some of these games, so I decided to grab them, and of course they were pretty cheap. So I picked up Haunted House, which don't know much about that one. Superman. Picked up Moon Patrol, which I hear this is a pretty cool game actually. And then this is a interesting one. I think there might be multiple games of this, but I picked up Sword Quest Earthworld, which yeah, I don't know much about them, so it'll be interesting to check those out at some point. And then I picked up some Genesis stuff, so a couple Genesis games. Finally got the Lost Vikings, which I'm super excited about. If you know anything about my gaming habits, I love Blizzard. Blizzard made the Lost Vikings. They also made Rock and Roll Racing, Blackthorn, but of course, some of my favorite games of all time: Diablo, StarCraft, the Warcraft games, Overwatch. Just awesome games, like through and through. I haven't ever played a bad Blizzard game. And then I also picked up Flashback, which is another pretty cool game. And surprisingly enough, I picked up a couple Genesis accessories that I don't believe I had. I think I already had a 6-button, but you can always use a few controllers, so I picked up a 6-button Genesis controller, and then I also picked up a 6-button Turbo Genesis controller, which I know I didn't have. So that's awesome, of course. Okay, then some random, PlayStation stuff. So I got a PlayStation 2 base. Never actually had one of these, so if my fat PS2 still worked, I could stand it up and show it off. But decided to pick it up. He might have actually just thrown this in. I can't remember. And this one's kind of cool. And this is a rental case. Hopefully I can show that. Yep, showing. Gotta clean it up. None of this stuff's been cleaned yet, but a fat PS2 rental case. A little dusty. But rental cases are always pretty neat and, fun things to have around. I picked up a couple PlayStation 1 games. Actually, I think I haven't double-checked, but I believe I already have Command & Conquer Red Alert. But if not, Command & Conquer Red Alert. Otherwise, some trade bait, unfortunately. Oh well. And then I picked up Fighting Force. Now, I know a lot of people aren't super thrilled about this game. It's kind of It's a 3D third-person beat-em-up game, but, I had fun with it. A friend and I used to play this. We conquered the game, and, it's a decent game. IDOS, they used to make the Tomb Raider games, so, there's a little something behind it. And then, what else? We got some PlayStation 1 controllers. So, actually, the regular PlayStation 1 got this teal-looking deal. I got it's not black, it's kind of like a off-black, just like a dark gray graphite or something controller, so I thought that was kind of cool. I actually haven't seen that color before, as far as I can remember. I got no room here. And then I picked up a couple PlayStation 1, or PS1, like the smaller, revised original PlayStation. Of course, another just standard white PS1 controller. And then I got this, sky blue, kind of teal, or a translucent controller. Sucker for accessories. It's fun to have all those fun colors of controllers. And then for no particular reason, I picked up a iToy, which is like a PlayStation 2 camera. So I have that now. So that's something, I guess. And then a couple other random oddities here. He had a few PC games, actually. I'd mentioned that, oh yeah, I'm a PC collector, PC gamer. He's like, oh. And it looked like that was his opportunity to actually like try to possibly sell some of the PC stuff he's been sitting around. Not much that I was really interested in, unfortunately, but I did pick up Command & Conquer The Arsenal for PC. This has Command & Conquer Red Alert and This has Command & Conquer Red Alert and Command & Conquer Red Alert The Aftermath, which I actually never played that expansion. And then this one was kind of weird. He actually had a bunch of these, and I was just like, what the heck? You don't really see this stuff very often. Although I think you can find stuff like this at like Walmart in the PC section. Like there always seems to be like PC budget games, but this is a twin pack with Sonic CD and Sonic & Knuckles collection, which includes Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is kind of weird. I think it's just like the different versions, like if you had the carts, if you played each game loose and then popped them together. I think it's just 3 different versions, but that's kind of neat. Kind of strange. Like I don't know. Like of all things you could find as a PC like game collection, like that's kind of an odd one. But I decided to pick that up. Then I picked up this Game Boy secret codes, Game Boy Color secret codes. So basically, it's just a code book for Game Boy Color games and whatnot. And my camera just moved, I think, but. Yeah, these are always fun to have, especially, like, I really like looking at the old Nintendo ones, because, like, as a kid, every opportunity I got to look at code books, like, a lot of times I'd write down codes as fast as I could if we were at the store, or I had a friend over, like, I'd write his codes down and stuff, and just fun to have. Of course, you can go on the internet and get all these codes nowadays, but, it's neat to have these little artifacts of the past when it comes to that. And then I think I got a Wii controller holder for it's like a gun, so you put your Wii remote there, nunchuck here, and then you can play some shooters. I think this is compatible with like some of the rail shooters and whatnot. Might make those a little bit more fun to play. Just picked up one, and the last thing here is something that I was actually pretty stoked about. I've always wanted one of these. Never had one, never had the opportunity. Of course I could find them at stores here and there that were charging more than what I was willing to pay, but I picked up a NES satellite, and this is basically you plug this into your NES, and you plug your controllers into this, and you can play your games basically, use the controllers wirelessly. I mean, the controllers plug into here and they have the wires, but you can separate this a little ways and get some extra space to play your NES, so that's kind of neat. So yeah, all in all, I am pretty stoked with this. Really, in normal circumstances, I wouldn't have bought a lot of this stuff, but it's just one of those opportunities where, there's a couple different things. Like, not only did I get to save a bunch of money, great deal overall, like awesome deal, Xboxes especially, being clean and everything, and being able to test them out is great, but, it's just so much fun being able to dig through stuff. Like, I don't get to do that very often anymore. Like, I used to go to game shops and like go and dig through the back room for manuals and boxes and stuff, and every once in a while garage sales you can do some digging, but it's just like the hunting is a lot of fun, and when you're doing the digging, it's like you never know what you're gonna find. Like, there's actually some other things. So basically, as we went, I made a pile and we started pricing things. I was like, okay, let's take that out, and let's take that out, and I'll add this. And he's like, oh, I didn't realize I actually had this stuff out there. Would you be upset if I kept it? Like, he had like a Final Fantasy VII, the unofficial Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. He had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for Zelda strategy guides, and he decided to want to keep those. And I don't blame him. So there's a lot of that going on. We were doing some haggling and up and down, and I'm gonna move this, and what if I add this, and that's kind of being a collector and being able to go out and hunt and things. Like, we don't got flea markets up here like a lot of the guys you see doing YouTube with the fun hunting videos, but I just live to do this stuff. It's a blast. He is a really nice guy. We had some great conversations talking about collecting. He has a pretty nice collection himself. Like, I was very jealous. Like, it sounds like the area of Minnesota that he is in, like, he kind of, I don't know, must have a reputation. People just hit him up like, hey, I found this box of games, whatever. And especially like he just got a bunch of Sega Master System games, and they're all just like super clean. You know, Wonder Boy, Dragon's Trap, you know, Double Dragon, Golden Axe, Psycho Fox, like just. It's awesome. It's awesome to see other people being fortunate out there. I think I made out pretty well, so I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, so I think that's probably going to do that for this pickup video. I would be interested to hear about top recommendations for the Xboxes, particularly exclusives. You know, must-have exclusives. So if anybody has any recommendations for that, I'd be really appreciative, because I'm going to start looking for Xbox games, of course, and I'm not super well-versed in the Xbox catalog. I know there's quite a few games, you know, a lot of stuff that's multi-platform I'm going to probably get on PlayStation instead of Xbox, but, you know, recommend me some exclusives, and we can see what I can find down the road. And, of course, I'd be interested to know your thoughts on a lot of these pickups. You know, I guess nothing in particular, but everything in general. So, of course, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time on the Game Grinder.